What if I told you that a world war started from a fight over a sandwich? Okay, maybe not exactly, but it's pretty close. Imagine two countries getting into a fist fight, then suddenly, boom, dozens of others jump in. That's basically World War I. It all kicked off in 1914, but the real story begins with one awkward car ride, a missed turn, and a guy named Gavrilo with a pistol. We're diving into how this mess started, why everyone joined in, and how millions of people died over something that honestly could have been avoided with better communication. Stick around because history's about to get wild. June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, is riding through Sarajevo. People are cheering. It's hot. It's crowded. Then, BAM! A teenager named Gavrilo Princip pulls out a pistol and shoots Franz and his wife. But here's the crazy part. Gavrilo almost didn't do it. Earlier that day, his crew of assassins totally failed. One guy chickened out. Another threw a bomb that bounced off the car. Gavrilo went to grab a sandwich, thinking it was over. But by total accident, Franz's car took a wrong turn and stopped right in front of the sandwich shop. And there he was. Boom. One shot. Global war begins. Like, what are the odds? Engaging. Question, if that car hadn't made a wrong turn, do you think World War I would have happened? You'd think this would just be a local thing, right? Austria gets mad, maybe Serbia apologizes, and boom. Done. Nope. This is where the alliance web kicks in. Austria-Hungary declares war on Serbia, but Serbia's got Russia as backup, so Russia mobilizes. Then Germany, Austria's buddy, is like, you touch Austria, you touch me, so they declare war on Russia. And since Russia is friends with France, Germany's like, well, guess we're at war with France too. And then Germany invades Belgium to get to France, because geography, and Britain's like, touch Belgium, we fight. So boom, Britain joins. Within a week, the world's on fire. It's like a domino chain. No one wanted to back down. Everyone wanted to flex. Engaging. Question. Do you think alliances protect peace or make wars bigger? You'd think people will be terrified, right? But nope. When war was declared, crowds were cheering. Why? Because they thought it would be fast and glorious. Back by Christmas, they said. Spoiler, they weren't. Countries were pumped up with nationalism. People felt proud and ready to prove their nation's power. Plus, everyone thought their army was the strongest. It was like a massive ego contest. Who had the biggest guns, coolest uniforms, and toughest soldiers. And no one had seen a huge war like this since Napoleon, so they didn't know how bad it could get. They thought it'd be a short, manly adventure. They didn't expect trenches, gas, or millions dead. Engaging. Question. Would you have joined the army if all your friends were hyped for war? So, yeah. About that quick war thing? Not even close. Soldiers showed up, got stuck, and bam, trench warfare. Imagine. You're in a muddy ditch for weeks. Rats everywhere, water up to your knees, people losing their minds. And if you popped your head out, sniper, gone. This wasn't some action movie, it was survival horror. Both sides built miles of trenches with barbed wire and machine guns. You try to data charge? You die. Try to retreat? You die. They called it no man's land for a reason. No one moved. For 4 years it was a muddy, bloody stalemate. And the worst part? They still use tactics from old wars in a new industrial killing machine. Engaging. Question, could you survive a week in a WW1 trench? Welcome to the Nightmare Factory. World War I introduced weapons no one had seen before. Machine guns, check. Barbed wire, check. But then came the horrors. Poison gas that melted lungs. Flamethrowers that turned trenches into hell. And tanks. Giant metal beasts rolling through mud. The battlefield looked like a sci-fi horror show. Gas masks became standard gear. You could be chilling then. Boom, yellow-green fog and your whole unit's coughing to death. These weren't just weapons. They were terror tools. And the worst part? Leaders still sent people to charge head-on, like it was 1800. That's like bringing a sword to a tank fight. In the middle of the chaos, soldiers wrote letters, and wow, they're heartbreaking. The mud is alive. My friend died next to me, and I couldn't help. These weren't just soldiers, they were sons, brothers, and dads. Their letters showed fear, boredom, trauma, and hope. Some tried to stay cheerful. Others just wanted to go home. These letters gave us raw, unfiltered glimpses into trench life. No filters, no lies. Just real humans stuck in a war that made no sense. They didn't even hate the guys on the other side. Sometimes they shared food or music during ceasefires. Wild, right? Engaging. Question: what would you write in a letter if you were stuck in a trench? Here's the most beautiful part at WW1, and yeah, I said beautiful. On Christmas 1914, something magical happened. The guns went silent. German and British soldiers left their trenches to play soccer, share chocolate, and sing carols together. Like, what? They were literally trying to kill each other, then bam! Holiday spirit kicked in. No one ordered it. It just happened. For one night, they remembered they were human. Sadly, higher-ups freaked out. They banned future truces. But that one moment, it proved something huge. These guys didn't want to fight. They were just stuck in a system too big to escape. So for 3 years, America was like, yeah, not our problem. But in 1917, that changed. Why? A few reasons. First, Germany kept sinking ships, including ones with Americans on board. Second, the Zimmerman telegram. Germany tried to get Mexico to attack the US. Yeah, awkward. That was the last straw. President Woodrow Wilson was like, alright, suit up. The US brought fresh troops, money, and energy. By then, Europe was exhausted, so when America jumped in, it tipped the balance. The war had been dragging, but now there was hope for an end, and America wasn't playing around. Engaging question: do you think America should have joined earlier, or stayed out completely? By late 1918, everyone was done. Germany was starving, Austria-Hungary was falling apart, revolutions were breaking out. Even soldiers were refusing to fight. Finally, on November 11, 1918, the guns went quiet. The war ended at exactly 11 a.m. Total silence. People danced in the streets, millions dead, empires gone. But peace? Not so fast. Everyone blamed Germany, and the peace treaty, Versailles, was more like a punishment. They lost land, had to pay crazy money, and weren't even invited to negotiate. Spoiler, this harsh ending kinda set the stage for, yep, World War II. So the guns stopped. But the damage? Oh, it was just getting started. Millions of soldiers came home, but different. Shell shock, what we now call PTSD, was everywhere. Cities were destroyed, families lost everything, economies were wrecked. And let's not forget, a deadly flu pandemic, the Spanish flu, hit right after the war, killing even more people, like 50 million. Europe was in pieces. And everyone was asking the same question: was it worth it? The war didn't make the world better, it made it bitter. People were angry, lost, and scared. And when that happens, bad ideas start spreading, like fascism and revenge. Engaging. Question: if you were a soldier back then, what would have been the hardest part to come home to? You'd think after the war, to end all wars, the world would learn its lesson, right? Nope. Countries didn't really change how they handled conflict. In fact, they kept building bigger weapons. In the Treaty of Versailles, it made Germany so angry and humiliated, they were ready for revenge. Add to that economic crashes, rising dictators, and bam, you're heading straight for World War II. WW1 wasn't just a tragedy, it was a setup, but we also learned about bravery, sacrifice, and how regular people can survive unthinkable things. Still, the question remains, could it all have been avoided? Believe it or not, World War I still shapes your life. Borders in Europe and the Middle East, drawn after World War I. The League of Nations? First try at the United Nations. Even modern warfare, drones, propaganda, tech, all started here. And the idea that governments could mobilize millions of people? That was a World War I thing. Not to mention the distrust between countries that still exists. It also gave us incredible art, literature, and films. People had to find ways to express all that pain. So yeah, it's not just some dusty old war. It changed everything, especially how we see power, politics, and peace. Engaging. Question: what's one way you think WW1 still impacts your country today? Let's hit you with some wild facts. That's one. There was a soldier who got shot in the eye and survived, and then became a sniper. 2. Animals served in the war, like pigeons, dogs, and even glowworms for light. And 3. Some soldiers kept diaries inside their socks. 4. One British officer carried a sword, a longbow, and bagpipes. And 5. In some places, the war didn't officially end until the 2010s, because of missed paperwork. Like, imagine finding out your village was technically still at war. World War I was full of bizarre, heartbreaking, and just plain weird stories. That's why people still study it over 100 years later. Engaging. Question: which of those facts surprised you the most? Or do you know a crazier one? Here's the big something new today. Smash that like button, subscribe for more wild history, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if you were alive in 1914?